discussing it. It's not just a California issue. It's not just a Mendocino County issue. It belongs to every county in this country. So it is being addressed at that level. If number one deals with the insurance payment, if that's going to be a discussion later, then we should just withdraw that part of it from the motion and deal with it later. So the second would concur, I would remove number one.
I concur, because that's the reason I pulled it off.
You know, I know we're running behind here, but I will be remiss if I don't make this statement. Looking at the revenues, there's two ways to go about it. One is to increase the fees and charge everybody up the wazoo, or you can get some economic development going in this county. I'm the latter, not the former. And I will not support increasing the fees on garbage so we can pass it on to the ratepayers so we can fund some other little program in this county. That's not what I'm supporting here. And I'm glad to hear that the administration is going to go ahead and do what they want to do anyway, which is what I gathered from the comment earlier, which quite frankly bugs me a little bit. But I think at this point, it's time to shut up and move this thing forward and go. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
It sounds like you were calling for the question, is that correct?
That's absolutely right.
That's what I thought.
It's irrelevant. We spent 3 hours on basically whatever they're going to do.
Repeat the motion.
To the clerk, can you repeat the motion for the understanding of the board?
Okay, the motion is to direct the Chief Executive Office to focus on item numbers 2, 6, 7, 8, and 9 as presented in the written staff report. As follows. Number 2 is to implement the executive review and restrictions relative to the voluntary time off, travel expense reductions, and discontinuation of all purchases of bottled water and water dispensers. Number 6 is eliminate programs and/or positions. 7, delay implementation of COLAs. 8, implement a hiring freeze and review use of extra help. And 9, implement retirement incentives. And then there was a requested modification to allow staff to engage in discussions relative to mandatory time off and workforce reductions.
Is that your motion?
Yeah.
Is that second?
Sure.
Okay. Question's been called for. Large crowd here, so let's go to the buttons and place our votes now, please. Okay, motion passes on a 3-2 with Supervisor Smith and Koufax dissenting. To the CEO.
If I could have the chair's indulgence, I do have an announcement from Sheriff Tom Ullman that he'd like to make to the board at this time.
One bit of good news is, as we were discussing the budget this morning, the rural sheriffs of the state have been receiving their $500,000 rural sheriff's money. So on your page 5 of 6, under challenge number 2, where it says $450,000 is going to be reduced, that's a $500,000 check that should have been received yesterday. We don't have proof that it's been received, so that's going to reduce hopefully the deficit by $500,000. And I just want to tell you of a silver lining. We've had a 2-hour and 20-minute meeting in this room, and the word marijuana hasn't come up once, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheriff, for that little bit of humor. It's always enlightening when you come before us. We do have 2 items timed for 11:30. I think the second item, presentation of employee service awards, rolls over into a reception afterwards. So if the board would indulge me, I'd like to take up a very quick item, I believe, and that would be item 6E. This is a notice public hearing for an application of the State Community Development Block Grant Program. So if there's no objections, we'll take that up. Then we'll move to the employee recognition and then move to the reception. So at this time, to the clerk, has there been proper notice for this?
Yes, there has.
Okay, and I'll open the public hearing at this time. And Mr. Dunnicliff, could you please take us through the staff presentation?
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Chair. Steve Dunnicliff from the Executive Office. West Company has created an application for funding from the Community Development Block Grant Program, CDBG. This is the maximum amount is being sought this year, which has been reduced to $300,000 from $500,000 previously. This grant application, if funded, will allow for the county to contract with West Company for further microenterprise technical assistance to facilitate and mentor small businesses. That's
Okay, and that's the presentation. Questions of the board to staff presentation? Hearing, seeing none. Questions or comment from the public? If there is any comment to this item, please step forward to the podium, state your name, and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing no public comment, I'll close public comment period. Bring it back to the board for questions of the staff. Presentation. Okay, seeing no questions of the board, I'll close the public hearing, bring this item back to the board for action.
Make the recommended motion.
Okay, there is a motion before us. Do I hear a second?
Second.
There is a second. Discussion to the motion. Hearing and seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Thank you, Ms. Dunnicliff. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move to item 9A. This is a presentation of employee service awards for 15 to 35 years of service of the following departments: County Council, Court Collections, the District Attorney, General Services, Health and Human Services, Juvenile Hall, Planning and Building, Retirement, Sheriff Coroner, Department of Transportation. So I'll move down and announce the names, and if the clerk would assist me with this. Okay, we're having a few technical difficulties here, but I'm going to go down the list as announced, and just a prior comment. I mentioned earlier that I do cherish our employees. This actually keeps the government running. It's not us. It's not the 5 of us. It's all of you out here. And without you, basically government would cease to do their job of taking the service to the citizens. So I take this I take this with a lot of weight as we present these